hitting buttons, playing cards. There is joy in random bullshit. It's great. It's fantastic. It's terrible. What is even going on? Have you ever tried playing them online? It's ridiculous finding someone familiar with the game. Why is that? It comes down to knowledge. When you are playing a casual game with your friends, you don't know what all your opponent can do. Your primary focus is on reacting. You are reading their cards as they play them. You are trying to escape their combos. However, when you are really familiar with a card or fighting game, the focus of the game completely shifts. It's no longer reacting, it's anticipating. This fundamentally changes the way you interact with the game. Suddenly, one of the scariest things your opponent can do is nothing. By sitting on mana in a hand of cards, by not committing to a move. All options are open. Infinite options in the eyes of the player, possibly not revealing a single card. The space around your opponent becomes a threat as you see the moves they could do. Now, in other game genres, there definitely is anticipation and reading what your opponent will do. And notably, your relationship with all games change when you go from participating in its systems to mastering them. However, the difference here is how intimate knowledge of the game changes how you interact with it. In a shooter, being able to anticipate your opponent's movements helps, but the focus is still on pushing the initiative and outshooting and outmaneuvering your opponent. In no other type of game do you get this experience. Wait, what? Strategy games? When it comes down to it, what pushes the anticipation is the player-on-player nature. You know what your opponent can do, and they know that you know, and down the rabbit hole it goes. Any PvP game has this component to an extent. However, it gets distilled when it's one-on-one. MOBAs and hero shooters definitely have you anticipating, but there is so much going on with reacting to the opponent's team to reacting to your own. There is less space in your head for it. And the knowledge component is exacerbated when the game is asymmetrical. If you know how all your pieces move in chess, then you know everything your opponent can do. If you know all the cards in your deck, you might know none of the cards in your opponent's. While asymmetry is not required for this feeling of anticipation, asymmetry creates this ocean of knowledge for you to drink from while rewarding that knowledge, further distancing the starting player from the experienced. This leads both genres to being prohibitively hard to get into. As soon as you stick your toe into the depth of the game, you can be chewed up and spit out. If you don't have the knowledge that experienced players do, you simply are not playing the same game, and often don't stand a chance. You enjoying doing random stuff inconsistently and watching cool stuff happen is great fun, but that is not what your opponent is doing. Those wildly unknown factors for you are known and practiced for them. The inconsistency that makes things interesting for you is a liability for them. To be clear, enjoying the game on both levels is very enjoyable and worthwhile. I've been on both sides for several games, and both sides are great, but they are not the same. There is a reason that there are so many videos encouraging people to stick with fighting games. They have made that progression from casual to dedicated, and have experienced how engaging it is to play with an opponent of a similar skill level as you feel the push and pull of two minds. They want other people to experience it, even if getting there can be difficult. Which isn't to say that is the only thing pushing people away. Fighting games ask you not just to outsmart your opponent, but also out-execute. While card games ask you not just to memorize all the cards your opponent might have, which is a lot, but also understand the synergies and interactions between them. Also, card games can be far overly expensive. Now, gaining this knowledge is a slope. It's not all at once, and it isn't for other people. However, small player bases exacerbate this issue, as the folks you'll be able to play against will already be dedicated to the game. These games aren't inherently hard to get into. They just suck, and you can't go against someone at the same part of the slope. So when you understand the game enough, what is it like? It's fire. Your brain is alight. There are so many possibilities, seemingly infinite. Then your opponent makes one move, and everything changes. Now they are restricted. Now you can employ your knowledge. What will you do? What will they do in response? The expanding and contracting of possibilities is fantastic. Maybe they'll hit you with something that you never would have expected. Maybe they do just what you anticipated and fall right into your trap. If the player base is large enough, you will never grow out of this interaction. You will keep getting better, you see more, anticipate more, go against people that see you, anticipate you. It's a one-on-one, asymmetrical duel. It's just you and your opponent, dancing around each other's minds. Anticipation feels great, just brimming with possibilities. Reacting is also great, but it's not the same. Once you see the possibilities, you don't stop. Now you know. The experience fundamentally changes, and that is why card games and fighting games are the same.